Hi there, this is Janie with Paper Compulsions. I wanted to show you how to do this pleated paper fold where it's where you get a little ruffled look with it. And this is just one way to do it, or you could do like a box pleat and do it this way. I've used it on my card here. And I did this portion of a circle, and I don't advise you start with a circle because it is very hard to get it to curve right and be even all the way around. And what you end up doing is there are several little sections of it, and I had to piece probably like 7 little sections of it, and to get them all even is a lot of work. So I would suggest you start with something straight because it's just a lot less hassle, like this one. And what happened with this one, it ended about there, and I didn't want to cut another piece and join it up to it, so I just put a flower there and it hid the end. So it'll just be our secret that that's there. But if I had wanted to join it together, if these were the same length or width rather, and if they were all gathered up, I would just make sure that the folds are going in the same direction, and you would just join it on there like that. And if you just saw the bottom edge of that, it would look like it was seamless if they were the same color. But let me show you how to do it first. I cut a strip of cardstock. You can do whatever you want. You can do pattern paper. And for this ruffled look, and I'll have a guide on my blog, but I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch, and then 3/4 inch, 1 1/4, and 1 1/2. And I'll keep going, but let me explain that. So you have a 1/2 inch section here, a 1/4 inch section here, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, you'll do 1/2 inch again, and 1/4, 1/2, and 1/4, all the way down. And I'll have the exact measurements on my a PDF download on my blog, so that you don't have to sit there and figure out what they are. But you just keep going like that, and then when you get it all done, you would go all the way to the end, and it takes quite a 12 inch, well this was an 11 inch strip, will you'll end up with about a 5 inch section when you're through of the folded ribbon or paper. When you get it done, this will be a valley fold, this first one. Then there'll be a mountain fold, and what I mean by that is valley. Let me get where you can see that a little better. Okay, whoops. Valley, it will fold like this and make a V. Mountain, it will fold up like a mountain and make a peak like this. And then you'll go valley, mountain, valley, and keep going until you have something that looks like this. And you just kind of squish it all together, and then I take another piece of paper, or in this one I did 2 because I just had a small strip of paper. But I take another piece of paper, let me show you on this one. You get it folded, and then you're just going to lay it down. I've put adhesive on this strip of cardstock that no one's ever going to really see. And you just fold it all down and lay it down. And then I like to have something on the top to hold it, and that will hold it all flat. If you don't, it kind of wants to pop up on top. Even if you have that adhered to the bottom, it still kind of wants to be unruly. So I get this on the piece of paper, and then I take another strip of paper that I have adhesive on, and then I did a decorative edge here. Then I took embroidery floss and did a little stitch through it just to be decorative, and stitched that, or adhered that to the top so that it covers this edge up and it holds that down better for you. And then you can use it on your card. Like I said, if you wanted to have two that were you wanted to add length so that it's longer, you would make sure your folds were going in the direction. These folds are going this way, these folds are going that way also, and you would just let it meet up. If I actually had it together, it would make more sense, but you kind of have it meet up like this, and then you wouldn't know that that wasn't the same piece of paper if they were the same width and had the same decorative piece up there. So that's okay, for the box pleat, you're going to have a 1-inch length, then a fourth, a half, a fourth, then repeat that, 1 inch, fourth, half, fourth. So it comes out to, you score it at 1 inch, 1 1/4, 1 3/4, 2 3, so that you have 1 inch, a fourth of an inch, 2 inches, half an inch, a fourth of an inch, and then 1 inch, and you're going to keep repeating that. A fourth of an inch, and I'll have the measurements on my blog. 3 3/4, 4, 5, then 5 1/4, 5 3/4, 6, 7, and you get the gist of it. Then it's going to go valley fold, so that is down, valley, mountain, mountain, valley, so that it's like this, so that it's valley, this one's going down, mountain, this one's going up, mountain, valley, so it folds down like this. You can see that. And I happen to have one done. Voila. And then I would take another piece of paper and adhere it down just like I suggested for the other one. Let me show you that. This is just going to be a scrap piece of paper. It just needs to be a little bit, not quite as wide as the paper you're going to finish with, so this is just a little smaller, and I'm going to put, since this is wide, I'm going to run 2 or 3 layers of lines of adhesive, and you will lay this down on the end, and then you're just going to kind of push that together and lay it down as you go. And I already had this folded, and I creased my edges. I didn't show you that, but it gives you a nice crisp look if you crease the edges like that. And if you wanted it longer, you would come in with another strip. Get this one that I did. Pretend those are the same length. You would just come in with another strip and fit it in like this, and if those were the same color and the same width, it would just continue going. But I just have the measurements where it should just keep going like that. And then you could put this on your project, and I like to put a decorative trim on the other edge. It would be fun like this, and you could also do a stitch through there, but I don't like to put a lot of adhesive through my sewing machine because it kind of messes up when the needle's going up and down through the adhesive. It's taking it down into the under part of your sewing machine, and the adhesive can get off and get all sticky on the machine parts. But I just cut a piece of paper, and I actually used some decorative scissors that I dug out of my stash, and I cut the decorative scissor strip, and then I cut on my cutting board, I cut the flat straight edge, because I don't always cut straight when I do the decorative scissors, and so then I can line this up and just cut straight on this edge, and it looks like a straight piece when you're done. I also took one of my So Easy guides and punched holes in this and then ran embroidery floss through it. And I would adhere that down on top of the pleat. And if you wanted to do it on the whole pleat, you could slide it to the edge so that that's on this edge and lay it down like that. Or you could put pop dots just on this top edge and put them all the way along the top edge, and you would just butt that up against it, and this part would go down on your scrapbook page so that this is up a little bit higher, but it comes flush with this side because this stands a little higher, and it just all goes together really well like that. So play around with it and see what you like. On this one I did it on a card and just put a decorative strip over it. And this one I put a little decorative strip, and like I said, I hid the end because I actually ran out of this paper because I had used it all on this and these two and the butterflies. So I actually just ran out of the paper and I didn't want to change it. I wanted to keep this pattern. It's actually a little pattern paper. I'm not sure if you can see. But I just put a flower over it and no one else will know. Unless you tell them. No. Okay. Go and play. I will have measurements and a guide on how to fold it on my blog that you can download. It'll be a PDF document. And look for the tab under my blog header that says Fun Folds, and I will have the guide so that you can know exactly what the measurements are and which way to fold it. So thanks for watching. Bye.